I'm Anil Kumar, and now we'll explore how to solve quadratic equations. We have an excellent example here. It says x plus 3 whole square equals to x minus 2 whole square. So we have square terms on both sides. At times, what I've seen students doing, and that is a mistake which I'm going to discuss first, that they square root both sides and then they try to solve. So let me discuss that part, which is a mistake which I don't want you to do, right? So that is, let's look into our mistakes so that we don't do them, right? So the first step is square root both sides. Now if I square root both sides, what do I get? So I'll get x plus 3 equals to x minus 2, and that means, well, x and x cancel out. So I got 3 equals to minus 2, and that means no solution, right? So this is what you get, which is a mistake, right? As you can see, as we will see rather now, that there are actually two solutions to this equation. But if we square root it and then do like this, it is absolutely wrong. So word of caution here is not to square root such equations. Okay. Now the reason of doing not to square root is that x plus 3 whole square, when you square root it, you are taking away a solution which could have been like negative value, right? So those are the reasons which we'll further discuss at the end of the solution, right? But think about it, why that is a mistake. Think about it. Now let's solve this. Okay. Now how to solve? Now solving this basically means expand, bring like terms together, and then solve, right? So let's expand it. X plus 3 whole square. It could be done in many different ways. What we will do for the time being is use at least two ways here. X plus 3 whole square means x plus 3 times x plus 3, right? And then we have x minus 2 whole square. So I'll write this as x minus 2 times x minus 2. Now let's apply the distributive property to expand. That means we'll use x term first, multiply both terms with x first, right? And what do we get? We get x times x as x squared plus 3x. And now we'll multiply with 3. So when we have binomials, then that is how we can do it, correct? So 3 times x will give us plus 3x, and 3 times 3 will give us 9, right? And here also we'll do the same thing, but sometimes we call this FOIL method, F-O-I-L, right? So first what we do is, when you're multiplying these are the first terms, right? So that's the FOIL. So first terms are these terms. So these are the first terms we multiply with, and we get x squared. Now then outside terms. So outside terms are these terms. Do you see this outside terms? So this is outside of the first term, that's outside of the other term. And that gives you minus of 2x. And then the inside terms, and the inside terms are both inside is these are inside terms, right? So that is what we mean by inside terms, which is minus 2 times x giving us minus 2x, and then the last terms. So last terms in this case are minus 2 and minus 2. So we'll multiply minus 2 with minus 2. That's the last term, right? So that gives us minus and minus becomes plus, and 2 times 2 is 4. So well, FOIL or distributive property is kind of same thing, right? So that is how you expand them. Third way, of course, is just use the formula, right? Let me write down the formula for you, which is a plus b whole square is equals to a square plus 2ab plus b square, right? Now this is could be used for here plus, and what happens when it is negative? If it is a minus b, then the center term becomes minus. Think b is replaced with minus b. Then if b is replaced with minus b, the sign will become negative, but the square of minus is positive. That remains positive, right? That's the whole idea. So I think the first step is absolutely clear, right? So let me just draw a line here. to separate our thinking with what we are doing. Okay, now let's bring the terms together to solve for x. So we have, or before that, let's combine these. 3x plus 3x is 6x, right? So we get x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals to x squared minus 4x plus 4, right? Well, if you check with this formula, it's perfectly fine. A plus b whole square, right? So that means a square plus 2ab plus b square. Now a square will be x square, correct? B is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times x, 6x. And 3 square is 9. Minus gives me a minus sign here, and otherwise is exactly the same formula. So both ways it works. So you have seen the advantage of using formula is one less step, right? So less mistakes. Now let's bring the terms together and solve for x in this case. So we have x squared and bringing x minus x squared. We have 6x minus becomes plus 4x plus 9 minus 4 equals to 0. X squared minus x squared is 0. 6x plus 4x is 10x. So we get 10x, and 9 minus 4 is 5. We get plus 5 equals to 0. Now we can factor 5. Now here also we can adopt 2 steps. One is we can factor 5 out, right? So it is when you factor 5, which is a common factor between the two, you get 2x plus 1 equals to 0. And now 5 cannot be 0, but 2x plus 1 can be 0. So that will be 0 for x equals to minus half, correct? So we can write this as 2x plus 1 equals to 0, or x equals to minus half. So that becomes one of our solutions, correct? So that is how we'll do. Well, of course, the alternate way could have been, let me write alternate way. The idea here is to learn, and I've seen that students have their own preferences of doing things. So that could be one method of solving this equation, which is 10x plus 5 equals to 0. So we have 10x equals to minus 5, or x equals to minus 5 over 10, which is also going to give us minus half, correct? So we get the same answer. Perfect. So we do have a solution here, and the solution is x is equals to minus half. Now the question is, why didn't we get the answer here? When we square rooted, we got no solution, 3 equals to minus 2, but when we expanded and did the question, we got a solution, right? So now why did we get this solution? Why couldn't we get this solution earlier? That is a big question to answer, right? So why this was wrong? Why this was wrong is my question to you, right? So now how do I answer this question, right? Now there are a couple of ways to answer this question. One is think like this. When I'm saying x plus 3 whole square equals to x minus 2 whole square, then in that case, even if I have a negative value of this, it should be true. What I'm trying to say is think like this. X plus 3 whole square, when I square root it, then we get plus and minus. We don't get just one sign. Do you understand? Then we have square root. When we square root it, we have plus and minus, and then square root of x minus 2 whole square. That is what I'm trying to say. Above, we only use the plus value. We did not use the negative value. If I use the negative value, then what do I get? I get x plus 3 equals to negative of x minus 2, because square root of this square will take us x minus 2. Now that x minus 2 could be plus x minus 2, which we solved here, right? This was plus x minus 2, or minus. So if we use the negative value, then we get that answer. Do you see that? Now if you bring the terms together and 3 on the other side, do you get the idea now? So you get the same answer. So if you bring this x here, we get x plus 2x. Do you see? 2x. And this is minus and minus. It is plus 2, and bringing 3 there becomes minus 3. Right? So So that is why we could have got a different solution there, right? So that is one way of looking into it. So what I'm saying, x, yeah, x plus x is 2x. So we get 2 minus 3, and then you can solve for x here. X equals to minus 1 over 2. So same solution. Do you see that? So the idea is we cannot rush into these kinds of solutions and get a wrong result. We need to understand that when we square root, then we actually have to take both plus and minus. So think about it. 1 square is 1 and minus 1 square is also 1. That is the strategy, right? So I hope you understand this part and understand why we made a mistake by making a square root and just taking half of the solution, half part of the parabola I should say, and not getting the solution. Well, to be on safe side, my recommendation is not to follow this path at all, right? Don't go this side. Just follow this method. So this is just the right method for you. Just do this, right? So that is what my recommendation is, and write down your answer clearly. Well, in this case, here is our answer, x equals to minus half. I hope that makes things very clear. Thank you.